Hey everybody, Leslie Roberts out here in the freezing garage. I'm working on my 125 Monarch for next year's CZ World Championships. No, I will not be entering it in the World Championship classes. Those are only for CZs, but we will see somebody on my flame-throwing 125 Monarch for sure, in some of the classes on Sunday. At any rate, I want to wish you all, from the original CZ World Championship Committee, Happy New Year's and a Merry, Merry Christmas, or the reverse, however you want to do it. Now, have a great holiday season. This is one of my favorite times of the year. It was when I was a kid. I loved it, you know, opening presents and all of that. Nowadays, there aren't too many presents that I'm expecting other than what I can buy myself. In the meantime, I wanted to share some news with you about the upcoming event in the last weekend in April of 2024. The big news is we're going to be adding a kids class, or classes. We haven't worked out the details yet, but we're going to feature some kids. There's been some talk for quite a while, like, hey, we got to grow this event. We got to do something for the kids that are just coming up, and getting them connected to the old bikes and the way we used to do things, or the tradition will die. With that in mind, we're going to add a kids class or two for the Saturday Robin Hanna Cup program. Not sure yet on the specifics, but we're going to get as many kids as we can out on that track. Let them experience what it's like to ride a real old world motocross track as opposed to a supercross track. And then get them around some of the old bikes and see if they can't get a little bit of the fever. You know, you and I grew up in the 70s when at the heyday of modern motocross. Everything took place in the early 70s, which brings me to a subject that is perhaps timely this part of the year, but certainly poignant. A little bit about myself. When I was a kid, in 1971, I stumbled across my very first dirt bike magazine. Oh, now I don't want to offend anybody, but that monthly magazine became my Bible. I would go down to the drugstore and pick up that copy whenever it was available. I'd steal money from my parents, whatever I had to do to get that magazine. And I would sit down. First thing I'd do is I'd go see From the Saddle. My favorite author when I was a kid. I have only one, Rick Seiman or Simon. I've never known how to pronounce his name. I only met him once at the Supercross in I think it was 1979 down in L.A. at the Coliseum. But God, I hung on every word he wrote. I loved him, and I loved the way he was self-deprecating. He took shots at himself, and yet he wrote with a vibrancy, an enthusiasm that was infectious to me. And I wanted every single bike that they reviewed in those magazines. He made every bike, even the lousy ones, cool. And so I had a list. For years, I wanted them all. I eventually became the owner of I went from little Montgomery Ward's 3.5 horse mini bike to my first real bike, an XR75. Then I got a Super Rat, and then I got a ratty CZ 125. I mean, the rattiest bike you ever seen in your life. But it was my bike, and I earned it. And I remember looking at the reviews of the CZ 125, and I didn't understand. It was the slowest, most poorly handling, it was just a terrible bike, but it was mine. And I learned the hard way about tightening spokes and putting little lube on the chain. Hell, I didn't know those things. I just got it and rode. But it was because of Rick that I got the dirt bike bug. And for most of you, that was the time when motocross, desert, enduro, off-road was in its heyday. It was a fantastic time. And since then, of course, we've dealt with land closures and the exhaust emissions issues and the changing of all sorts of bikes from, you know, back in the 70s, we had so many different labels. And now we've got, what, 5, 6, maybe 7, and they're all pretty much the same bike. But I'm proud to have said that I grew up in the golden era of motocross. And I want to honor Rick and his contribution, how it changed my life, and I'm sure the lives of many of you. He just passed on here a few days ago, and I've been thinking, how can we honor such an important figure in our industry? Best way I can do it is to tell you a little bit about what he did for me, and I will forever remember Rick's contribution to my life and how much fun it was racing to the drugstore and picking up that dirt bike copy. Man. Also poignant this time of year is the idea and reality of death and passing on. Now, I'll preface all of this by saying, if you don't want to get too serious here, turn me off and get ready for the race in the spring. Work on your bikes, get your bikes ready. If you want to be a sponsor, that would be great. We're going to need a great deal of input from bike builders this next year. We've got a ton of people that want to come over from Europe, South America, and they need bikes. So I will appeal to you, as I'm doing. I'm going to put somebody on that 125. Don't know who yet, but I will. But I wanted to broach this subject because often we kind of gloss over it, especially now. I'm 65 years old, and many of you that came up in the same era as me are in our 60s, 70s, even 80s. And we're watching friends and family and friends of friends and friends of family dying all around us, passing on almost a weekly basis. And while there's nothing any of us can do to stop the flow of death, there is much we can do to celebrate the lives we are living and the lives of the friends that have passed on. I'm not one for sitting around and looking back in the past and with regret or the old memories that I no longer am able to be active in. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm paralyzed from the chest down. Been dealing with a number of physical issues for 7 straight years now. I've been in a real tough state, as some of you know. I've recently had surgery, and I'm doing much better. You will see me next year at the event in full strength. And no more wounds, bandages, infections, IVs. Oh my God, been through hell, as many of you have. And or have seen friends and family around you in great physical distress. But there's something to this. It is not with sadness that I look on at the passing of life. Death is part of life. It is something that we can't avoid. It's natural to life, so it has to be a good thing. It may not feel like it in the time of passing. And we always say, God, if I'd only said this or that to this guy, oh, I wish I had. Well, here's a chance, folks. Something I've learned I've been paralyzed 23 years. The last 7 years I've dealt with hell on a daily basis. But something I have learned through this terrible process, not only to enjoy as much as possible every day that you can, but to do things that perhaps you don't want to do. Like, let's say, for instance, there's a friend of yours that you rode with for years, but you've had for some reason a falling out 10, 15, 20 years ago. You know, the hell with this guy. I never want to see him again. But he was your friend. And you guys did a lot of good things together. So I'm going to invite you and ask you, plead with you, implore with you. Don't waste any more time in regret, resentment, envy, hating, feeling bad about something that you might have been able to correct or reconcile. Take the time now in this season of forgiving, which is what Christ would have us do, is forgive each other and live in the moment. I'm asking all of you, if you've got a friend that you used to ride with but you've fallen out, take this time to reach out past your grief, past your resentment, past your emotions. Man up, mend the fence, go out for a ride. Reach out to a buddy from 20 years ago. Tell him, hey, you know, I've been a fool. I've been this or that. whatever it might be, but mend the fence. Get together. Enjoy a moment or two or more together. In fact, there is no better place to mend the fence than at next year's CZ World Championships at MMX Racing in Marysville, California. This is a special race, by the way. Robin Hanna created something unique to the planet, an annual family reunion where people seem to just let down their hair and forget past grievances and all that and enjoy themselves. That's the place to be. Reach out, invite your buddy or buddies. Say, hey, let's take a field trip, a road trip. Let's go out to Marysville next year. Let's have some fun riding on an old world motocross track and smelling the bean oil. Oh my God, it's orgasmic, you know. Do it. Time's passing. You're gonna be dead soon, and you can't retrieve it. Once you're dead, you've crossed over. You're in your 60s, your 70s. How much time you got left? You have no more time for resentments. You have no more time for thinking about what an evil bastard that guy was. He's just a regular guy, just like you and me, with our own problems, our things to deal with. Let's show a little perspective. We're old now. The clock is ticking. Hell, I've seen the light a couple times, let me tell you. It's not that I'm ready or embracing death, but death's coming. It'll be here before I want it. It's going to be the same for all of us. And once you're gone, you're gone. Ain't coming back. At least to this life. Who knows where we go from here? I'm going to ask you again. Take the time to reach out, forgive, as our Lord would have us do. Mend the fence. Bring people together. Take the opportunity next year to have a nice road trip with your old buddies. Work on old bikes together. Go out for a ride. Do something that celebrates the life that you've been living and enjoying. That's what our Lord asks of us. To live today, to bury the hatchet, to not be afraid of death, but to honor death, because it's coming, and nobody can stop it. But the best we can do is to face it as fearlessly and joyously as we can. Any other way is a mockery. God doesn't want us clinging to life. He wants us celebrating life. And the best way to do that is to bury the hatchet. And get on with living and do what it takes to raise your head up and honor your friendships and honor our relationship with life itself. All right, now I'm not going to go on any farther, but that's my Christmas message from the original CZ World Championship Committee to you. Live, forgive, and show up next year at the CZ World Championships, and I'll help you celebrate, all right? Because I've been through some hell, as I'm sure many of you have too. All right? Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Take care, my friends.